What's up, cats? Welcome back to another video, and you might notice something a little different. We're not in a game today. I was working on my game, working on the officers, personalizing them and stuff, and I realized I've seen a bunch of other YouTubers do this kind of stuff where they basically give out some tips and tricks to help newcomers do whatever, you know. So I'm here to do that today. So it's a bit different from the usual upload content, but I thought I'd try it out, see how it goes on the YouTube algorithm, if you know what I mean. You might notice, those of you who have used Roblox Studio, you can't see anything above this. That is because, just in case there's like something I don't want being disclosed about the game, it's off limits. But anyways, that's basically not the point here. I will cut and we'll get right into the tips. Alright, tip number one I got for you guys is, depending on, and it can be any color, put a brick underneath, like any color, depending on what color you want the, your bodies of water to have a feel of, put a brick underneath, right below the bottom of it. So you're not going to be able to let people in this kind of water, like put like invisible barriers on anything that they could jump off of like I do. But if you go under, you'll see that it's got some nice reflections, right? It looks nice in like an actual river because of the darkness and how it just looks as dark as what you'd expect a river to be. But if you go underneath, it stops right about here. And then right here, there's just a black part that spans the whole way, and that gives it its effect. Now, if I go in and select that part and then delete it, you'll see here, it looks a whole lot less good, right? The reflections are worse, and everything's just worse. So, usually, if you want like a darker river, you're going to want to use darker greens or a black. But I mean, it's up to you. We used a black. I actually just found out this tip because my other developer, Montuo Tip, showed it to me, which is really cool. Anyway, on to the next tip. Tip number 2, lighting. Now, this is a thing I see a lot of new games get really wrong. Like, made by, obviously, inexperienced people who just started developing. They want ultra-realistic everything. They go for the orange lighting, they look up all the YouTube tutorials, and it ends up looking like a mess because it doesn't fit their game. Well, in case you didn't notice, you want to make lighting that fits your game and sets the tone. Like, for example, in the version of this that was less good, the lighting was really bleak and dark and didn't bring out much color. And the color palette was actually basically the exact same as it is in this build, and it made it feel really dirty and gritty and just a place you would not want to be, which really fit the vibe. But in this new version, it's supposed to feel like basically a cityscape, post-World War III, all that crap, except it's a bit more welcoming, and you might notice that because the sun's a bit larger. You just really take a look at stuff, and you're like, does this fit my game's tone? Because if you got a horror game, you're probably going to want to make it night. If you got, like, and another example of this would be, let's say you have a simulator, low polygon, all vibrant neon colors. What you're not gonna want to have lighting like this. You're gonna want to have, like, a candy-colored skybox with, like, 0 clouds, and you're gonna want, like, no sun rays. It's basically gonna look like a Candyland, right? Does that makes sense, I think. But yeah, that's lighting tip number 2, because that's just something I notice a lot of new games, something that they do. Because, yeah, I do actually take my time to look at some of them every day, because it's fun to go around and look at, like, new developers and see what they're doing, what they're up to. Like, and, of course, I just want to clarify, because I may not have clarified it enough already. By new developers, I mean people who have, like, just entered the market. Because, obviously, most people who have been around for longer than a month creating games know this. Anyways, on to the next part. Tip number 3 I got for you guys is more detail isn't always better. Take this room, for example, that I'm in right now. This is the stage for my game. It's where all the soldiers line up. It's meant to be bleak and uniform. And that's because it's a military room. Everybody's supposed to be in line, they're supposed to be uniform, they're supposed to be, military. So you're not going to want to have a bunch of detail everywhere. That signifies special room, very unique, everybody here is unique, this is all cool. Because it's a military room, and you want it to look uniform. So what I'm saying is, in some cases, you don't want detail, because it might give off the wrong tone. Because detail, just like lighting, can actually be used in a way that signifies tone. Because again, this, bleak, not too much detail put into it, that's on purpose. But if you go in a couple rooms over, all this crap, hold on, let me go over. Like in this lounge, you'll notice it's a bit more detailed, like a lot more detailed. That's because it's supposed to have a homey feeling, with a lot of stuff around that, makes you feel, like I said, at home. So, yeah, detail can be used for the good or better of a tone. And I know a lot of the stuff I'm talking about is tone, but that's really what defines a game when you think about it. It's not like the gameplay, but it's what people are constantly seeing. And if they see something that reflects the game, usually more than not, I notice they tend to play longer and like the game more, even if they say it's because of the, the mechanics. People really like it when the game fits. So yeah, make things to the style make things to a certain degree where it fits what you want it to represent. Because again, if you want something that's supposed to be super imposing, super structure, some sort of thing like that, you're gonna want to have a bunch of gray colors in a style like this. And if you're gonna want something military, you're gonna want to go something like a stage. And if you want something homey, you're gonna have a nice detailed room with bookshelves and stuff. It all depends on the kind of game you're making. But alright, let's move on to the next tip. The final tip we got is how you build your game. Because certain styles can actually really affect the outcome of what you built. For example, the way me and my developer Montuotep build is we start with, we started with this road, started with this road and this built outward from it. It literally just used to be this area, this road, and then a fence here. We built a checkpoint, and then we built the whole, and then he built, the whole place. I mean, I actually can't say I've built a lot of this. It's mostly my developer. But I say we because I was there. But, yeah, it's built outwards as you're developing. It's not all laid out and planned out like you'd expect a game like this to be. And that's because it makes the design, I don't know if this is purposely why, but what I'm trying to say is, it makes it feel a lot more natural, something like people would build. Because, you come in here, you got a street, you're walking along, branch out. It looks like something that you'd expect humans to build. It's very natural feeling, and it's much more appealing than, let's say, if I had this whole thing planned out. It would look a lot different, because I probably would not have that natural expansion, and a whole bunch of stuff would be left out and not considered. And if you got a game that requires that, though, like, for example, a game about robbing banks, you're gonna want to plan out your levels. So, level games, you're gonna want to plan that out. But it's another thing you gotta take into account. How are you going to build your map? Are you gonna plan everything out all at once? Or are you gonna slowly branch outward and get ideas as you go along? That's something to think about. One of my final tips, I want to say, it kind of goes along with the detail thing, but don't be afraid to cut corners. And no, by cut corners, I don't mean not add the pillars or something because you're lazy and it saves time. I mean, for example, if they can't see it, you don't have to build it. So this river, right, it looks like a complete river, it could go all the way down. Well, you probably already figured this out. There's nothing here. That's because you don't see it. So what's the point in building it? Now, unless you're doing it like a little own personal project or something fun. I mean, honestly, if you want to save time, but you still want to maintain your sanity, trust me, this is something to do, because new players a lot of time will try to make everything, even if without even thinking whether or not anybody will ever interact with it. Because they'll make like whole rivers and then build around the rivers and have like a whole chunk just left out, and it's really sad. So you're gonna have to cut corners like this sometimes. And if they can't see it, you don't gotta build it. Like, for example, over here, you'd think, well, what's the point you guys saw this earlier, what's the point in having it elevated back there? I actually do think you notice this, because you are human beings and you can notice things, so, but we have that because they can see it. But, you go back here, they can't see past this waterfall, and the water just ends, and it's really weird looking. But that's because they don't see it, so what's the point in building it? And finally, I wasn't originally going to include this, but I thought, you know what? I wanna. Don't lose sight of the fact that you can have fun while developing. Like, while Monty Otep was doing all this and making all this stuff, anyways, while he was over here doing this, I was back here, making the offices, making them look nice, and, adding personal effects. And that also leads into another thing, which is included as a part of it. Don't be afraid to use free models. So add personal effects, don't be afraid to use free models, have fun. Basically, what I did was I took the offices of every single one of our staff, asked them what they wanted, and also incorporated their personality, and made them offices. And they turned out really cool because I just let myself have fun and not constrain myself with the professionalism of the rest of the build. Because I just thought, you know what? The offices are going to be where all of our dudes are hanging out. Why not make it customized to them? So for me, I didn't do too much for myself because I wanted to focus on everybody else's stuff. But I got a reference to when the group was not Katia, and I got the coat hanger because my character has been wearing a suit for like the past 3 years and has not changed it ever. So I thought that'd be a pretty cool reference. And I focused more on everybody else's stuff because it turned out really nice. And you'll see in here, I actually haven't published this update yet, so you guys are seeing it before it's getting published. But you see in here, we got stuff like, this is the Chancellor's room. We got a nice, it looks like a therapy lounge, and it represents their personality. That's their dog, so it's like a personal effect of theirs. And then they got a nice hang in there poster, and then they have like a little teddy bear. And that's a free model, but that's okay, because they wanted me to have that. And it's a personal effect and stuff. And you guys get what I'm saying. And it turned out really nice because I let myself have fun and made this one specific area that's not bound by the rest of it. And I gotta tell you, it does actually kind of rejuvenate your willingness to work on the game. Like, it's surprising. When you are making stuff and you're having fun, it makes your willingness to continue working and continue making the game go up. Like, your drive just skyrockets. Usually, for me, at least. I don't know, you can I'm assuming it'll most likely work for you, but maybe not. And you get burnout a lot less often, and that's something that I noticed. And, yeah. So I thought I'd just show you guys that. So, don't be afraid to make your own personal sections full of fun stuff. Free models or not. You just gotta kind of let yourself loose like that sometimes. So, yeah. Anyways, that is the end of this video. So, I'll see you all in the next one. And, I hope you had a great day. I had a lot of fun making this. My brother Cooper came in and just did the beans! Which was kind of funny, but also a bit interruptive, but it's okay. But I really enjoyed making this, and you know what? I might just do more of these. Like, not this specific thing, because I don't know what else I'd do if it's not, like, a how to do this. I could do those. But, yeah. That's all for today, and I'll see you all in the next one. Hope you enjoyed, and I hope it was informative, and, see ya!